And I think we're live. Good evening, everyone. Here we are again. It's Tuesday, March 19, 2019. How are you? I'm Dave, and welcome to Let's Have a Chat. So tonight's topic is in the news, and what's big in the news right now, I mean, aside from death, destruction, mayhem, um, and everything else, all of that, but that's just in Washington. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's just all over the world. It's just standard, and that's the good thing or the bad thing. But again, I'm not talking about, I mean, death is, again, death is bad. Don't get me wrong, death is bad. But it happens, and that's not tonight's topic. Tonight's topic, again, in the news is I'm going to talk about the weather. And the more it changes, the more it stays the same. Folks, it's that time of year. Brutal weather happening in the Midwest here in the United States, and a couple of countries down in Africa. There was a brutal weather over the weekend, flooding, devastations. It was terrible. And we're getting ready to go into hurricane season, typhoon season, and all the other, and it's just kind of like it just perpetuates itself. So we finish one, we start the next, we finish one, we start the next, and then we start prepping ourselves for winter, and then the inevitable snowfall, and then eventually the snow melts, and then that's right, the flooding begins, and it starts all over again. So what does this have to do with leadership? It has everything to do with leadership, because again, when it comes to change, leaders should be prepared for change. Leaders should be expecting things to happen. And when leaders are not prepared for even the simplest thing, weather. I know there's nothing simple about weather, but what I'm getting at is we know hurricane season is coming June 1st, and it goes all the way until December or the end of November. And in between, we've got some flooding times, and we've got the spring rains, and we've got all this tornadoes and just terrible stuff. But we know it's going to happen. And I know no one can truly prepare for tornadoes. No one can truly prepare for flooding, or can they? Or can they? Because again, they know it's coming. So leaders need to step up and say, okay, everyone, here's the deal, here's the situation, and we know it's going to happen. But yet it falls on deaf ears, because again, no one wants to deal with it until they're dealing with it. And then they don't want to deal with it because nobody wants to be knee deep in it. So it's one of these terrible things that as leaders, we must prepare our followers, our people, our staff, the people around us, our stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders, to be ready for this inevitable situation. And it's going to come. And the more we prepare for it, that's why there's all these drills. That's why there's the month leading up to June 1st, all of May, there's Hurricane Prepared Month. That's what it's called. And yet, so many people are still found lacking when it comes and it strikes, because they didn't think it was going to happen to them. Look at the city of Houston. They were expecting it. They were expecting it, and what happened? It got worse. But they were prepared for it. They knew it was coming, but then the floods came and everything behind that. So that being the case, and then Katrina was the huge example of what happens when you're sort of kind of prepared, because again, they knew what they were dealing with. They know where they are. They all, I was in New Orleans almost a year prior to Katrina striking, and everybody kind of made a joke about the levees. They kind of said, well, we are 28 feet below sea level, and this is going to happen. And I'm talking about the quarter. So they're in the French Quarter. And it happened. So, where are those people now? They got displaced, things happened, and rebuilding. I haven't been back since. I'm way overdue to going back to New Orleans, and it's going to happen sooner than I think. And that's a good thing. But I want to go back and see what they've done. And I'm more than sure everybody that's there already knows what they've gone through. But I want to go back. Definitely need to go back. It's long overdue. And that being the case, again, I'm digressing. But as leaders, we need to also ensure that, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not all doom and gloom. It's going to happen. It's going to be good. And here is what happens at the end of all of that. We get better. I hopefully get better. We get stronger. We get wiser. We have a little bit more knowledge. We have a little bit more skill under our belt. And with that, we can go ahead and prepare for the next event, because it's not a matter of if, folks. It's a matter of when. Because I guarantee you, this time next year, we're going to be talking about flooding on the Mississippi River north of St. Louis. I guarantee it, because we did this last year. And yet people were still kind of caught off guard. Oh no, this is a tragedy. And last year, it might have been the biggest flooding in the history of the Mississippi River. But guess what? This year now they're saying this is going to be the biggest flood, deepest flood, the highest flood since history. So you see, the more it changes, the more it stays the same. Yes, it doesn't, I'm not minimizing last year's floods. All I'm saying is it can either get worse or it can get better, but it's going to happen. And that's where leaders need to step up and recognize and get their followers to buy in, get everyone to buy in, all stakeholders to buy in that, hey, prepare now. And the less suffering you're going to have later on. But again, it's up to the leaders. It's up to everyone who is involved in all of this, because again, we're seeing it now. We're going to see it again. And here comes hurricane season. I know in my neck of the woods here in deep South Texas, we are extremely way overdue for a hurricane. It's been years. And I mean, I think it's like the last time my son was an infant and he's like getting ready to go into high school. We're way overdue. Huge. The times are against us. It's going to happen. It's not if, it's just when. And the odds are not ever in our favor in this case. So with that being said, do your part. Get ready now. Start preparing and understand that weather is going to happen constantly and it's going to be a factor. It's a constant, inconsistent event, meaning we expect it to rain. We just don't know how much we're going to get. We expect the wind to blow, but we just don't know how strong. So you see, but again, we prepare for the worst. And when it happens, we're better off. So folks, get out there, start doing your part, start prepping, start planning, start thinking, start having your mind set on this is going to happen. And leaders, that not just applies to the weather, it applies across the board in all organizations. We're going to run out of paper. We're going to run out of toner. We're going to run out of customers. What do we do then? And it's going to happen. So folks, my name's Dave Guerra. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow.